Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meg. I was looking through my memories the other day and I realised I actually got the MiraDry procedure done a year ago. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to check in with you guys to let you know how it is going, because now it's kind of more of a longer term review, whereas the one that I initially did was kind of my 3 months of recovery and it levelling out. So yeah, loads of you guys enjoyed my first video on MiraDry, which is here in case you haven't watched it. You can watch it beforehand or you can watch it afterwards. But basically I went through my experience with the whole procedure, the recovery, the price, whether I thought it was worth it. Now I feel like I'm in a place where I can give a kind of more accurate review on if it's effective, because it is marketed as being a long-term solution to those that have hyperhidrosis. If you didn't watch my previous video, hyperhidrosis is when you sweat excessively. There's different levels of this, so for me I only opted to have one procedure done, but people that have sweating to the point where it's like dripping, then they may opt to have two. I believe that America sometimes push people to have two as the norm, but in the UK at least, you're kind of encouraged to have one, see how you are after a few months, then if you feel it hasn't really given you the results that you need, you can go back for the second one. So one thing to note as I was looking back through my previous video is I forgot to mention about purging. So this is something that I did experience and actually passed the 3-month period, probably up to about 6 months. I felt that sometimes my sweat glands would kind of overcompensate and they'd be worse than they were before the procedure. I have heard that this is pretty common and it's kind of expected when your underarms are going through so much kind of pressure. Sometimes the adverse reaction happens where it's trying to get everything out before it dries out, if that makes sense. This didn't happen for too long and I wasn't too concerned about it because I didn't think it was likely that the procedure would overall make my sweating worse, so I knew it would kind of be a more short-term thing, and it definitely was, and it's not really something that happens now. But it's just useful to know in case you have it and you're kind of thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? The procedure has literally ruined me for life. It is likely that it will go. So yeah, in a nutshell, I can say still I am vouching for the MiraDry procedure. I do think it is a really effective procedure and it is worth every penny that I paid. As I mentioned in the previous video, it's not made to fully eradicate sweat, it's merely to reduce it. So I think I said in the last video that it reduced my sweating by about 70 to 80%. I would say more about 80% now. I definitely feel like I'm sweating like a normal human should, and like deodorant's working well, and I feel like I can have a shower and then be fine for the whole day, and then I'll, as usual, shower the next day, whereas before it kind of felt like I'd have a shower, I'd start sweating again immediately, be really confused, like why my hygiene routine is top notch, why am I still wet under the arms? But I don't experience that anymore, and it's honestly the most comforting feeling knowing I'm not having to stress about it, and I can just get on with my day. I can wear short sleeve tops, which has been a massive thing for me because I'm into fashion, and I kind of felt I couldn't even explore that avenue because I was so conscious. And like, yes, I did mention in the previous video, like I felt mine wasn't so bad that I couldn't hide it, and I feel like I did effectively hide it through using sprays. It wasn't always about the odour, sometimes it was more so just the feeling of wetness that I had to deal with, and I know that that's the same for a lot of people. But yeah, that's not really something that I have to deal with now. Yes, I do still get wetness. Some days it is worse than other days. I'd say I have like quite random, a few days where it's a bit more than usual, like literally I'm talking like 2 days every 2 months or something, but there's not an odour. And it's because I know that it's not a permanent thing, it doesn't really bother me, like I just get on with it. I think for the most part, I kind of feel that it's going to stay like this. It is something that's very manageable every day. I don't really think about it anymore. Essentially, that's really what I wanted to get for the MiraDry procedure, so it kind of depends what your expectations are going into it. Like I say, it's not a magic solution that's going to completely leave you bone dry, and that's not normal. That's not what humans are designed to sweat. So it's okay to sweat, but your sweat shouldn't be like interfering with your everyday life, and that's kind of the purpose of MiraDry. Botox injections, yes, I think they are meant to leave you bone dry, but I'm not someone that wants to keep going back and back for something. I'd rather just invest more, get one thing done, knowing that it's going to be like an investment for life, and it definitely is. I must say though, the lumps that I had under my arms, and like I always had one underarm that felt bigger than the other one post the MiraDry procedure, and that went on for probably maybe 6 months. It was something that kind of concerned me, but I didn't want to like rush into getting it checked out because I had just had quite an invasive, well it says non-invasive, but quite an intense procedure under the arms, which is a very sensitive area, so I kind of assumed that it was linked to that, and now my underarms 1 year ahead are completely back to how they were before. And the key that I found for getting rid of any kind of hardness and swelling under my arms was to massage them. like every day, every morning, every evening. You don't need to do it for too long. You can just take some cream or some oil or something and just make sure that you're stimulating the area, because after such an intense procedure, I should have known really, but they don't really mention much about it in terms of aftercare. Once all the swelling has gone to the point where you can touch it and it's not tender, you should be like stretching, moving your arms as much as you can. I wasn't doing any of that, so I felt very like stiff under here for like way after 3 months. And I was like, is this normal? Is this gonna go on forever? But it's because I was kind of avoiding moving that section of my body. So that is one key takeaway that I've got from this, is that you need to like stretch and elevate the area just to kind of loosen up the muscle and get it back to its normal form a lot quicker. As for hair removal and the kind of darkening of my underarms, which I did mention, I've just used some kind of lightening scrubs and it's brought my hair follicles back to kind of what they were before. But I did say, like, this is something I'm not sure that I can really get back to, but because it had left like patches of no hair, it made the areas of hair more obvious. And I'd say it definitely still is uneven under my arms, but it's not as bad as it was. And like, I feel like if I continue to use the scrub and exfoliate, hopefully I can get rid of any pigment. And yeah, that was kind of a blessing and a curse. Like, I was really excited. I was like, oh, you know, it's got rid of a big patch of hair. But as a result, because it didn't get rid of it everywhere, it was a bit like more obvious where my hair follicles were. So yeah, pretty much my summary of this video, although it's not too long, is get it. Like, I know I might have scared people a little bit in the initial video because I did keep going on about like the trauma of the experience, and that's just because I am a stressed head. And like I said in the video, my underarms are very sensitive. It's probably one of the most sensitive parts on my body. And that's not going to be the same for everyone. I've been reading some of your comments and I'm really glad to see that I've kind of given you reassurance as you're going through your recovery process, because this is something that I needed when I went through the recovery process, like just knowing that that was normal. And I was struggling to find like anyone who had the same degree of swelling as me, so I'm kind of glad that my video has helped some of you guys who are a little bit worried that that wasn't normal, because there definitely is a more extreme side of the swelling, and I have seen people like who had to go to hospital and stuff because it wasn't normal. So kind of differentiating between that, hopefully the video helped in that sense. But yeah, still looking back, I'm not sure I'd get another procedure if I hadn't fully reached the results. It's just because it was just, I still remember how bad it was to this day for me personally. It was just a lot. Like I say, it could have been made better by having someone to go with me, but it was just, yeah, it was a lot worse than I expected. But then at the same time, thinking about how I am now and how I'm literally not having to worry at all, and it's just a massive weight off my shoulders, maybe I would just force myself to go through with it. But I'm just glad that I don't need another one. But for those of you maybe that had like a rough first experience and you don't know whether to get the second one, just weigh out your options and think, like, although it isn't pleasant, it's such a small sacrifice, like a small period of time in your life for you to have like long lasting results. As hyperhidrosis can essentially stop people from like living their lives to the fullest, like it makes you so conscious on a daily basis. So it definitely is a personal investment, so make sure you consider your options properly. And if not, you might just want to do Botox and just see how you feel about it for the short term, and then you might be like, okay, I love the feeling of not sweating, maybe I should opt for MiraDry instead. But yeah guys, thank you so much for tuning into my video. If you do have any more questions about my recovery or where I'm at now that I haven't mentioned, do pop the comment below and I'll get back to you. And if you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.